Hey Cloud Gamers, today I'm having a look at Dead by Daylight. This was recently announced on Stadia as a pro game and is also available on the Xbox Game Pass if you have the Ultimate subscription and also a PC. So we thought we'd have a look at the two subscription services here, with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate having to install the game previously. And then we just have a look to start with here at the initial launch speed of the game. So Google Stadia, true to its nature here on the speed front and still looking like it's going to get to the first screen for load within a minute. And there we have it, under a minute for click to play on Google Stadia, still showing its speed of loading here to the first continue page. And then if we skip the intro sequence on both of these to the main load, you can see the second space to continue is pretty much even there, just over 1:10. And then going into the final load screens then, both of them taking the time for the initialization and connections to the server there. But Google Stadia just getting ahead of the Xbox Game Pass version there at 1:30. Both of them loading just over 1.5 minutes altogether is really not too bad. I have installed this on the maximum settings 2080 Super rig, so it is running on a very high power rig here. As we go over to the graphics comparison, from the main character screen then we can see a little bit of difference with slightly higher contrast on the Xbox Game Pass version. And as we load into the game, we do see a little bit difference in the quality there as well. The Xbox Game Pass version here on the 2080 is running at ultra settings, and it looks like it is frame locked at 60 frames per second. As we start tinkering with the engine then and having a look around here in this extremely eerie environment, you can see there's not a great deal of difference in the quality, but the Xbox Game Pass version does look like it edges a little bit ahead. But as it's frame locked at 60 frames per second, there is not a great amount of difference between the two of them on the fluidity. And those skill checks really do come out of nowhere. It's extremely difficult to predict and get the right section. Dead by Daylight is definitely one that will get the heart pounding, and having the heart pounding effect when the killer is coming close definitely adds to the tension. For some reason you keep carrying the toolbox even if you are out of repairs, and I've not figured out how to drop it yet. Also, I've not managed to win a game as a survivor, and for some reason killer matches or playing as a killer for a match has a long wait time. It seems like there is quite a queue of people wanting to play the killer. No matter which platform you jump in as on Survivor though, you do seem to get a match within a few seconds. That crossplay really is working extremely well, but it definitely needs some more matches for killers, maybe some maps with more than one killer. Doing the skill checks on these engines takes quite a bit of practice, and you have to bear in mind that failing does show off your position. So moving on to some Xbox gameplay only footage here before we switch over to Stadia. Again, this is using the maximum settings 2080 Super, so we're running at the ultra settings here on the downloaded Xbox Game Pass version. And it's looking extremely smooth and crisp, and those ultra settings do give nice contrast and clarity. It's not the most graphically intense game that we've played, but it being part of that Xbox Game Pass subscription or Pro on Stadia is definitely a huge bonus. And there is definitely a large player base for this game, so you don't have to worry about getting matches unless you want to play a killer role. You can see the quality here on the engine is very clear, And the contrast between the different parts of the engine and those lighting effects when you fail definitely do add to the tension. Knowing if you fail once or twice, you do need to get out of there. You can hear that heartbeat starting to race as we know the killer is nearby. Now this was one of my longest matches on the Xbox Game Pass version, and I did manage to go and save somebody. Now, I have been saved a couple of times in the game, so it definitely is worth holding on as long as possible when you can, because having more people alive definitely helps with the survivability side, as if they trigger an engine on the other side of the map, then obviously it gives you time to then do the same thing on your side. As we switch over to the Google Stadia side then, you can see again that difference in the quality. Moving around, it's definitely that 60 frames per second are locked, and playing on the MacBook Pro you do see a slight quality drop. Now when you're playing on the Chromecast or on PC, the quality difference between the two versions is very small, and this is one of my main bugbears about playing on the MacBook Pro, that even though you do get a degradation in quality because it does not use that VP9 by default, and the VP9 version definitely looks better. So if you are playing on Mac like I am here, expect to see a little bit lesser quality than you would on the Chromecast Ultra or on the PC, but still looking extremely good and more than playable. It's quite enjoyable, especially having those fast load times. It's just annoying that it's very hard to play as a killer. You can see here the team not doing too well, quite a few people getting caught. So it's worth trying to get those engines up and running, but it really does take a lot of time and practice to get those skill checks. And I haven't quite worked out exactly what having the lights on really does for the map. I've never really survived long enough to find out. As we look at the quality on the engine then, as we're repairing this one, again with the contrast effects of the sparks and the skill failures, it's definitely lacking a little bit in quality compared to the Ultra version on Xbox Game Pass, but it's still very good. Inevitably, I always get caught, as you can see here on both sides. Once that happens, quality kind of goes out the window because you are too busy trying to concentrate on escaping, and obviously the atmospheric effects of the screaming really kind of highlight things. Let me know what you're playing on in the comments below, and whether you'll be playing this game in future or whether you just don't like horror games. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.